大家好. Today we're going to recap week 5 of Wushu52. Are you ready? Let's go. Alright, so in this video, I'm not going to give any preamble. There's no fluff. We're just going to go right into the training and analyze what happened. Alright guys, like I said, I'm not going to give you too much intro stuff. I'm just going to talk while we're watching the workout. I figure this is a little more efficient way. And so on Tuesday, this was February 1st, down at the park close to my house. And as you can see, I'm wearing this, looks like a tarp with a hood on it. It sounds like a tarp with a hood on it. And I'm just doing my warm-up, kind of moving around, stretching and stuff. Because I am in such bad shape, it takes very little to warm up. So I don't have to go running around or do anything. Basically, after I do my standing exercises, I'm already breaking a sweat pretty bad. But this is me just stretching out. If you're wondering what those things around my ankles are, those are actually knee pads. I just have them down lower while I was getting ready. See, I already warmed up enough to take the jacket off. Of course, it's Hawaii, so it's always warm. And one of the things I realized, I was listening to, it was a while ago, but Rebecca's vlog where she talks about, no, it was her most recent one, Head to Toe, and talking about Brian's comment about you have to get your 3 splits in head to toe first, and then you're starting to do wushu kind of thing. So I like that idea. And the reality is I have very limited range of motion and flexibility just because I haven't been training it much. I used to have head to toe. I used to have a full splits, believe it or not. So I'm going to be a lot more focused on my mobility work. Oh, there's a little car in the background. There's someone doing RC work there. So as you can see here, I'm practicing, just kind of trying out my splits, which I don't do that much, and also these kind of in one leg side split thingy, just to see if I can open up my hips a bit. But as you can see, it's pretty tight, and a long way to go. But I've started really thinking about and working on a program for increasing my mobility this week, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. After a little bit, I closed the fence up here and I started doing my standing basics with a dog behind me. This is the ready position. If you've seen that movie Iron and Silk, this is what Mark Salzman is practicing. Punching Fu tells him to. He teaches him this technique and then basically says, okay, now go home and practice that for 6 hours. And then I was doing punches. You can see here I'm sort of just evaluating my hip's ability to rotate and generate power. Because of my ankle issues, sometimes this can be a little difficult. And you can see my right foot is out at a skewed angle versus my other foot. And that's because I can't position it straight forward as much as I can the other foot because of that ankle inflammation. So it's challenging to have good position on my hips and legs when my foot doesn't turn in appropriately. So here I'm doing the head snaps and palm flashes. This, of course, is the double punch, double palms, double hooks. And then I did some Nanchuan basics. Again, this is the same 10 standing basics I do every time. Here's some Nanchuan blocks and punches and the butterfly palms. So here I am practicing Mabu, and this is challenging. It's getting a lot better. You can see I'm holding it for a decent amount of time, but this is a hard one. Also because of that ankle, you can see the foot kind of out at a 45-degree angle there when it really should be facing straight forward. Didn't hurt terribly, and this was probably the best day I've had in a while as far as my ankle mobility goes. Here I am trying some pubu. On this side, the right side, there's 2 issues here. My left ankle is not very flexible, so I can't get my foot flat on the ground very well. And then my right ankle, of course, it's very hard to do this because my ankle flexibility is very low. Here I'm trying to do some empty stance. And yeah, you can see it's hard because just a lack of strength in my muscles. You can actually see decent muscle striations in my calf there, amazingly. But because I'm so heavy, it's really hard to keep all that weight up off the ground. And here I'm just doing some high stance. I moved the knee pads down so I could get better angle on my knees. Again, my right ankle doesn't have much stability, so it's hard for me to keep a balance on that leg. That's why I have the pole right next to me, so I can sort of use it as a little bit of a balance aid. And my hip flexors are not very strong. I've been working on strengthening them, but as you can see, my knee doesn't go very high here. My glutes are really feeling it from that bag work on Sunday. It's only 2 days ago, so usually it takes me a couple days to start getting sore. Feeling strong though. My stances are better, ankle's better. Now it's on the top of my foot, so it's hard to flex my foot this way. But this is okay. Just I can't flex. It's amazing how much you use your tibialis to pull your feet back. All right, let's do some kicks. And kicks I did. I have been doing a little bit more loose kicks here. You can actually see, now that we're at the side view, you can see that my foot does not really go all the way to my head. There's a good 6 inches between where it reaches the top and my forehead. And I'm also kind of bowing my back a little bit there, so it's not a really good front stretch kick. I mean, at this angle it looks good, but that's just because of the camera angle. But this was the first day I was actually able to do both legs on my front stretch kick, which I was really happy about. Here's side stretch kick. Also not too bad. And the inside kick. Oh yeah, see, I could tell right there that I wasn't able to do the left kick because of that right ankle. Especially is true with the crescent kicks because there's so much kind of a torque on your ankle for stability. My elbow was coming out a little bit there on the punches. Need to watch that next time. You can see that it's not sliding along the body. It's the pullback is okay, but the punch out and the palm out, the elbow's coming out a little bit first. And as I mentioned before, my side kick is really weak. The glute and that side muscle and the flexibility, the range of motion and the strength both are not good for this kick for me. So I was taking a cue from the Wushu at home videos that Brandon did for side kick practice, kind of just working on the basic fundamentals of this and just getting the knee up and the chambering it and then kicking it out and trying to look down the line of my body at my foot. So thanks, Brandon, if you watch this, for putting that out there. That was great. Very helpful. And then, of course, getting ready for the Danpaijiao, the front slap kick. I'm getting a little nice, kind of a good pop at the top there. It's getting harder. One thing's for sure, you can always make it more difficult on yourself. Endless levels of progression and regression for every move. Kicks are done, next is combos. See how I do on those. After this week, it's 47 more. 5 down, 47 more. Alright, let's do combos. Here I'm sort of trying to get that hip rotation with my Danpaijiao to the Wulunpanda. So just trying to make it pop as I turn back from that kick. I'm really looking forward to the day when I can do an actual pubu and get up and go down into it without needing to hold on to something, because that will really enhance my ability to do these combos. One thing that's interesting is if you have a big gut like I have, then actually doing a front-facing gongbu like this is really difficult because the knee is right where your gut is, and your gut is pushing against that inside thigh. There's nowhere for your gut to go. So the challenge is when you have a gut this big that you have to open up your hips a little bit with a gongbu because there's no way for your mass to occupy the same space as your leg. An advantage that thinner people have when doing a gongbu is that you'll see it in all of the videos I'm putting up right now, just because that's the way I am at the moment, is that when I'm doing gongbu, my body is often shifted away from the front leg because it can't fully face that direction at this time. And that'll, as I start to slowly thin down, skinny up, that will improve. But it's a challenge right now, and it's super annoying when I watch these videos too. But it's a process, and I'm okay with that. Next is Nanchun, and then I'm do some stretching, and then I'm done. I definitely could not do a full Wushu workout right now. I mean, even without the injury, I don't have the endurance for it. So even if I had full range of motion, which would make things easier, and if I had lost, a good 600 pounds, that would make things easier too. But my endurance is still not there. So yeah. Forms indeed. I actually put a little more energy into my forms on this day, so I ended up doing 2 sections, then taking a break, and then doing the other 2 sections. I wouldn't say it's full speed or anything, but it's with more effort than I had done previously. So I guess that's good, and it'll help me build up my endurance for the following times I do it. The one good thing about making these videos is I noticed that while I'm doing it, I am consciously aware of the fact that I'm videotaping myself, and it's not videotape, that I'm filming myself, and that these videos are going to go online and people are going to see it. So I'm like, okay, normally I would probably stop right here and then take a break, but I want it to look better for the video, so I'm going to put more effort into it. So maybe it's narcissism or maybe it's pride, but the making of these videos actually does help me perform a little bit stronger and a little bit better. I mean, you can see how tired I am, but it is making a difference in how I practice. And so if nothing else, having these videos go up online reinforces to me a better training energy. And here we come to the 4th section. You know that already, but I'm just stating the obvious. Pretty burnt out at this point. And there it is. Oh, and you can see how wiped out I am. I'm exhausted just watching this.
One hour later.
I have a bad habit of doing this and then exhaling. My cheeks puff out. I need to learn to like that, so I don't like that, or like a bullfrog. So now that I'm all hot and sweaty, good time to stretch. Put these back on. And this is really the best time to stretch after a workout. You're all sweaty and hot and your muscles are warmed up. And so trying to do these splits is really the ideal time. I should definitely do this every time I practice. I haven't been, but mainly because of the ankle issue. But I think now that the ankle's improving, I'm going to really be sure to do all these splits and stretches at the end of practice. So I wanted to talk briefly about this exercise, and this is, I have I think about a 25 or 30 pound kettlebell, a sand kettlebell inside that sled that I'm dragging along, walking backwards. This is surprisingly effective. My glutes and my hips really feel this when I'm done. I do 5 back and forth, so 10 lengths, and by the end of it, I'm just burning completely in muscles that I never realized I haven't been working. It's a completely different exercise that I'm used to doing. I'm not a medical professional, so I can't speak to that, but I can just say that empirically for myself, I've noticed that it really does a number on my hips and my glutes, and I'm feeling much stronger as a result of doing these. So just wanted to throw that out there. If you have a chance, try them out. See what happens. This is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor, but after you've consulted with your doctor, then by all means try this out and see what you think. I think I got this sled on Amazon. I'll link it below in the equipment that I use, or the workout stuff that I use. It's like an Amazon Basics thing. I think it was like 20 or 30 bucks or something. And then I also got the kettlebell, which is just like one of those sand-filled kettlebells. I also have a water-filled kettlebell, and I have some iron kettlebells that are also arriving soon. And then after I did the outside work, I came inside and I did my standard ATG-based training method of doing tibialis raises. I do 25 of each of these things. Tibialis, I do calf raises, another set of tibialis raises, some bent knee calf raises with the heel off the ground. I do some of these sort of step downs. I think these are Patrick step downs because the heel's down. These really burn those quads. And then I do some split squats elevated with slight assistance, just because I'm working on kind of stretching out the ankles and improving mobility and strengthening the lengthening, as they say. Maybe no one says that, as I say. I also like to use a slant board as a way to stretch out the hamstrings and calves. Here I'm doing knee raises to really work those hip flexors. Then sort of a TRX type of exercise with the door hang and the handles, doing the pulling rows, the lateral rows. And then also doing the chest pressed version of these as well. It's nice because it also works the core as well as the arms, and then you can regress it by stepping closer or further away from the door. And then this one's just really nice. I'm really noticing it helping with my oblique strength, and so I do it on both sides. And then finally I wrap this one up with some leg lifts. Could be a little bit better. I think I'd do better at ones on Sunday. But that was it for Wednesday's strength training. Then it was Saturday at the park on February the 5th. So, same as usual. These are getting a little repetitive, so I'm just going to, I think, speed through this warm-up, because you guys, by now, you should know what it looks like when I warm up. So, here's a faster version of that. You know what? That's still taking too long. Let's speed it up a little bit more. So yeah, on this day I went down to Moana Park, and I was possibly going to meet up with some friends to do Wushu, but it looks like they didn't make it down there. So it was me on my own again, and that's fine because I still got to do the work regardless of if someone shows up or not. So after my warm-ups, I started getting into some basics. Once again, I did the standard accompaniment of standing basics. I did the ready stance. I did the side to side palm flash and head snap. Of course, I did it on the top. It feels like it's a little snappier than it was on Tuesday. Testing out the punch hips and then doing my punches. And of course, that's followed by the palms, and then the palms are followed by the vertical punches. If you're wondering, I do 10 of each exercise. So it's 10 exercises, I do 10 of each, or 5 on each side if there's multiple sides. So that's a total of, I guess, 100 exercises for standing basics. And like I said, by the end of that, I'm pretty much sweating pretty good and I'm really warmed up. So it's a good warm up for me at this point. Then I went into my kicking, got a little bit of loose kicks, and then I got into my full kicks. And my foot was kind of tweaked out a little bit on this day, more than Tuesday. So I just did the one side, but I feel like they're a little bit sharper kicks. It's interesting, on the day, I felt like I was stiffer than usual, but watching the video, it's actually not that bad. I feel like it was actually pretty strong and relatively snappy compared to, where I was like a month ago. But even from the week before, I couldn't do any of my kicks because of the ankle issue, and here I'm doing almost all of them, so that's great. Of course, the side kick is an issue, so I'm doing it assisted, just trying to get some alignment going, trying to make that hip work and lift that leg up because it has no strength at all. And on the other side, I can't support on the right foot, as you can see there. I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel good. So then I had to use both hands on the table and just try and look over my shoulder and my neck fat to look at my foot, which is challenging. And then I went back to finish the kicks up with the danpai jiao. Next to me are these people doing calisthenics. There's some really buff and in shape people over there, so it's very intimidating, but I kept at it doing my combos. After the first one, I actually started doing like almost decent speed hammer fists like that. Now I don't have quite the stability to land it and stick it very well, but I think you can see everything's way snappier and more powerful than it has been. So something is changed between Tuesday and Saturday to allow me to be stronger and snappier with those moves. But at that point I realized, I didn't do my stance work, so I had to go back and work on my mabu. And this mabu, I actually held it for 47 seconds, which is a new record for me. Up till then it was like 15 or 20 seconds. And then the gongbu, of course, just testing to see how parallel my front leg is not. Oh boy. Certain aspects are getting better. The zachuan, danpai jiao, wulong panda, that my zachuan is getting stronger, as you can see. Danpai jiao is strong. I wasn't feeling very limber today. I think I'm a little stiff. Maybe I didn't warm up enough. I also didn't do my early morning mobility training today. I just came here and stretched out, so that might also contribute. I showed up. And I did better than last Saturday. For some reason, the weekends, my foot feels funny. I'm gonna do some stretching. I didn't do my form work. I didn't do most of the combos. I only did a couple stances. But I was listening to James Clear's audiobook for Atomic Habits, and he was talking about how the loss you get from not showing up, even if you don't do that much, is much worse than showing up and doing very little. So if you don't show up and do nothing, it's worse than just coming and doing like one thing. If all I did today was come here and just do a horse stance for 30 seconds and then left, that's at least reinforcing the habit of the training, which is good. And so I did more than 30-second horse stance. Maybe that'll be my like bare minimum. If I go to a training, I gotta at least do a 30-second horse stance and stretch. But yeah. While I'm here, I thought it'd be cool to do a magic trick. Ready? How's that? Looks pretty good. All right, so Sunday, once again, strength training in the morning. And I'm not going to belabor this. I'm going to kind of talk over what you're going to see here, which is the same thing I did on Wednesday. And it's getting repetitive at this point. So I have a feeling I might just sort of summarize my strength training stuff, or just, you know, provide insight if something changes or I do something different, then I'll talk about that. But I think for the most part, you guys don't need to see the exact same thing week after week. I think the Wushu stuff is more interesting to look at. So I'm going to keep that in there and talk about my progress with the Wushu basics and form work. But for this kind of stuff, unless something changes dramatically, I'll probably just keep it pretty minimal at this point. So for the whole week itself, there's some good and some bad, as always. I'm realizing, and I mentioned this a minute ago, that my biggest issue is not really strength as much as flexibility, range of motion. So I'm really going to make an effort to focus on those 3 splits and head to toe, really get those going. And so I've started working on my mobility and flexibility and kind of bringing that to another level. If I don't have the right mobility and range of motion, then I'm going to just get injured when, even if I'm strong enough to support myself, if I don't have enough pliability of my muscles, it's just going to hurt later on. So I'm really going to work on that, opening up my shoulders and chest too, because I have very tight shoulders. That's, I think, what my big revelation was this week, is that I really need to work on my flexibility and mobility. The good things that happened is my foot is gradually improving. It's starting to, from week to week, it improves. It gets better from one week to the next. But overall, in any given day, it may be worse than the day before. But week to week, it's improving, which is great. And this past week, I did really good on the mobility training, which I wanted to do. I have a routine of about 15 to 20 minutes that really opens me up in the morning. It's a combination of a lot of some yoga stretches, some Wushu kind of stretches, some other types of stretching, and some static, some active, different things in there. So a little bit of strength stuff too, and core work. And even sometimes while I'm just sitting here at work at my desk at home, I'll just kind of take a break and go do some mobility work in the middle of the day as well. And that's really nice to have that flexibility. I'm also feeling more power, like you saw with the Dachuan Danpai Jiao Wulong Panda. That was really motivating for me to see that that's improving. And I'm looking forward to Tuesday's workout to see how that keeps going in the future. So it's to the point now where I'm seeing the progress, and that's getting me excited to go train again to see if I improve to a different level, or even 1% better than I did before. So my plan for week 6, I can't believe it's already week 6, is again, really focus on the mobility and flexibility training. That will be the best way to prevent injuries and improve my Wushu in the future. 7 days a week in the mornings and again in the evenings before I go to bed. That's my plan. I'm going to really try and stick to that as much as possible. The other thing I had mentioned last week was getting enough sleep. And some days I still get to bed a little late. I think 2 nights this week, or 1 night I got to bed around midnight. But for the most part, several days I got to bed around 10 o'clock, which is great. And then, of course, with my training, it's the same this coming week. Tuesday, Saturday is Wushu. Wednesday, Sunday is strength training. And that's a pretty good system for me now. In the future, when I build up to another day of Wushu, which I'm not quite there yet, I can tell, I'm going to include a Thursday Wushu training. But not at this point. That might happen in March or April, but February, I think I'm just going to stick to this 2 Wushu, 2 strength training power, and then everyday mobility twice a day. That's it for this week. Hopefully that was interesting for you guys. If you have any questions about my training or what I'm doing, or suggestions that I can ignore, just kidding, I won't ignore it. But anything you want to share with me, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I really do appreciate it when you guys chime in with your ideas and thoughts, and some of them I've implemented into what I've been doing, so it really does help me a lot. I just finished posting up all the Tokyo training footage. That's all up on the channel now, and now I think the next thing I'm going to do is the 2012 December or November, was it, Shanghai training. There's some really cool Nanchun stuff in there, so I wanted to stick that up there. Like I keep saying, it's just collecting dust on my hard drive, so there's no point in me just holding on to it. Again, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting my efforts to get back into Wushu shape. This is it for week 5 of Wushu52. Until next time, everyone, talk to you later. 加油